Right. All right, cool. Hans Timmerstone here with my guy, Sena Agbeko. Great fighter and one of the best people you can ever meet in your life, man. How you
Well,
feeling?
I appreciate that.
How you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling good. Thank you, brother. Just been training, trying to see what the boxing world has for me. I don't know if you know this, but my last fight, I went down to 160. I've always been able to go down, but I just decided to compete at 168 because it was just always comfortable. But in light of what's been happening lately in the sport, I decided that, hey, I got to go where I can have the best advantage for myself. So I'm like, let me suffer and make weight, and then take out the rest in the ring. So I'm doing pretty well.
What was that? I don't know. I followed your career and everybody else's career. I know you fought a guy named Pierre Williams. Was it a catch weight though? Because I think he came in at like 165 and you came in at 162, or maybe it was
So
reversed.
yeah, so that was what ended up happening. It was about an hour to the weigh-in. About an hour to the weigh-ins, the promoter called me. I was like, hey, he was struggling to make the weight. So we
Hmm.
kind of had to make a last minute concession and at the time I'd already made my weight. I was comfortably at 160.
Hmm.
But then he was going to be, I think he said he was going to be at 166. And by the time the weigh came around, he had dropped down to 165. So I kind of met him halfway, 162. And technically, that still qualifies as a middleweight bout because, we're allowed, it's not a a championship bout. So we're allowed, a few pounds over. So I drank a little water just to, help me recover better. So yeah.
Gotcha. How do you feel about the landscape at 160 pounds anyway, before we jump into the other stuff? Because Janabek is probably the man. He has two.
Yes.
Laura has the WBA belt, and then you
Mhm.
have Adames who has the WBC, but he's about to fight Shiraz or Shariz. I'm not really sure I
hmm
pronounce his name. So how do you think about the landscape, and who do you think is the guy?
I mean, obviously, the guy right now, Yannick Beck, he holds three of the belts and also the belt, and I feel like he's the biggest threat. Obviously, most of my losses have come also against left-handers, and he's a left-hander too. So obviously, it's something that I'm going to be working hard towards, so that if I find myself going up against him, I'll have to be ready. The other fight, the British guy is very much a life threat. He's tall, he's very long, strong, and I think that Carlos is gonna have his hands full as well. But all those are guys that I've scouted, and obviously coming down in weight, I feel like I'll have the size and power advantage coming down, and especially being able to make 160. And I mean, I've even sparred like some of the biggest guys, Biteviev at 175. Badu Jack, Andrew Tabiti. I mean, and more recently Canelo, and all these guys are big, big, heavy guys. So to be able to deal with all that and then move down in weight, I think I'll be able to, withstand the force come what may at that weight class, and I'll be able to better show my skill, in the ring. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, gotta talk about a guy that you really just don't like too much. You know,
Yeah, I don't like him at all. I don't like him at all. Yes.
yeah.
Morale. Yes.
Yeah, David Morrell. Obviously it goes from the the fight that you had with him last year in December. You had like a ton of issues with him and his team with the whole like not testing thing. So how do you feel about him as a person, him as a fighter? Do you think he is trying to juice when it comes to his fight with David Benavidez? And how do you see that fight playing out, man?
The thing is that for me, though, it's not just about the fighter, it's about all the people that are around him that are enabling it. And it goes beyond just the fighter. So I understand that, yeah, being a fighter, sometimes you find yourself in situations where, you do what you're told. And that is part of the problem. My biggest issue with Morel did not even start with the testing. It started in Las Vegas when I was supposed to fight him in April. And I feel like, they planted spice in my camp. They saw, the preparation that I had at the time, and then, of course, the whole MRI scan issue, that's where it started. That's why I got mad, really mad, because these guys were essentially trying to destroy my career by trying to plant a medical problem on me that I did not have. So it goes down back to
Could
the
you
to
could
the
you could you just kind of explain to people who don't know what the medical issue was?
so as part of the preparation for the fight, we had to do an MRI, and then the this MRI doctor was set up by, of course, Morrell and team, because they're the ones, on the A side, they're the ones putting everything together. So they set up the appointment, everything. I went and then did my stuff, and then even before I knew my own results, Morrell and his coach, Ronnie Shields, were saying that, oh, there was a problem with my MRI, and I'm like, well, that's you guys are violating HIPAA law to begin with. Like, my results shouldn't be coming to you guys. If there really is a problem, it should be coming to me first. And then, so the way they did everything was they basically said that, oh, there was a black spot on my MRI, which the radiologist wasn't even like, like a surgeon or anything. Like, it was basically a recommendation that, hey, like, there's a black spot on his MRI and we think that it might be an aneurysm. Like, you don't say you think. So because of that, the athletic commission was like, okay, we cannot sanction this fight because we think there's an aneurysm and we need to have a second opinion. And I did seek that second opinion right away with a very seasoned brain surgeon who essentially said that, hey, I don't know what the other guy saw, but there's nothing on this scan. This guy is cleared ahead to fight. And even if, there was an aneurysm and he fights, there's a zero chance of anything happening to him as a result of that aneurysm, because those things are all very internal. And if there's something's gonna happen to him, it's gonna happen to him anyway. It won't happen to him because of a blow that he receives to his head. So he can go ahead with the fight. But then it seemed like somebody had paid somebody already to make sure that I was pushed off the card. And then this is further, like, solidified by the fact that, and they claim that, it's standard practice to sign somebody as a replacement, in fights of that magnitude. But this is what's funny. They signed the guy who ended up fighting, I forget his name, the Brazilian. They signed him before they even offered me the fight. So he was the one that was originally scheduled to fight Morrell. So they had him sign with Morrell and tell him that, hey, you just wait. And then they came to me. And then what's even annoying about the whole thing, back to the whole testing, is they made sure that I was VADA tested. I was VADA tested when I fought Isaiah Steen, the fight that earned me the right to fight him. And then they came to my house again, unannounced, and tested me again to make sure I was clean. So which makes me think that that whole, like, the showbox thing is just a filtration system to make sure that the guys that come through are not juicing. So they go up against these guys that are already juicing and they have such a big advantage already. So, but long story short, the surgeon approved me to go ahead and fight, and the commission still refused. And then, of course, after I fought my case and proved that I was clean, they took the fight to Minnesota, which is Morrell's background, home now, where essentially they refused to test. And I brought up the issue with the commission, and I was just told that the state of Minnesota does not require testing, and so they are not going to test. And that was very disheartening. I think that every interim or world championship fight should be natural, like, it should be mandated to be tested. It should go without, without question. Like, there should be testing at all. At fights of a certain magnitude should always be tested.